YouTube is doing a purge, and it's basing it on trying to protect us from two different versions of the virus. We're going to be discussing two things that happened in the same decade, and I'm going to use a euphemism based on talking about one of them. Let's say the antivirus companies decided to set up a website as a clearinghouse for all the bad installs and extremely damaged systems. Let's say the antivirus review website was set up by them and categorically stated the following. It may contain incomplete, inaccurate, coincidental, unverifiable, raw, or unassessed reviews and complaints, and it's okay. They don't explain why. And the website is used by people to complain about lots of different companies' antivirus products. And it's a consumer advocacy website set up as an agreement with the antivirus companies and against lawsuits and inflated bills from companies and stuff. And it was set up to help people from Microsoft users to people at Staples to whatever, anywhere you could get an antivirus by any company. Microsoft put out one. There were lots of them. Whether it's Mac, PC, it doesn't matter. Now, the website will contain unassessed reviews. However, the reviews get a follow-up later, and that's used to make a conclusion every few months about each antivirus product. Now, it started out as a tech support service to fix the problems and as a warranty service that does no-fault payouts like you do for no-fault insurance on a car. The idea is to solve the problem for the people, make it to where the antivirus companies don't have to pay out a lot, and make it to where the people who are victims of accidental, it deleted my system 32 or whatever, could get their systems fixed. That you'd call up to tech support, get free tech support, whether or not you agreed to it or not, because that way they could avoid a lawsuit if they broke an entire bank. Now, stepping aside out of character, this is literally something that was done a long time ago. I mentioned Staples, but other companies did this in concert with them, because if you installed two different competing antivirus programs, sometimes they would actually attack things because they were interrupting themselves, because some of them would masquerade the antivirus program as a program that was continually targeted, Internet Explorer. And then it would actually break the computer. And some of them would accidentally, literally delete things or flash your BIOS or do other stuff. This was the early day of antiviruses. But now we're going to go back to using antivirus as a euphemism for a current issue worldwide. Now, a similar website to this is set up for a much more visceral version of antivirus issues. This was done as an agreement between antivirus companies, consumer advocates, and consumers. It isn't immediately clear how all of it works or how the data should be interpreted, and they state overtly again, you shouldn't interpret this. This is raw data. Wait for us to do an assessment. You're going to have to be patient. Now, when you look at the interpretation from them and another advocacy site, they state, and this is the collected information from it being processed and followed up, out of thousands of complaints, raw complaints, and thousands of assertions that my computer blew up, 1,549 actual confirmed claims are shown to be vetted, and 9, we'll call them ruined systems permanently as of today. This is out of 500 million installs of a particular antivirus, but the site covers all antiviruses, including for Commodore 64s, or something outdated, something that has nothing to do with what you might be looking up. Now, another website makes a claim that all 2 million bad reviews are for the one you're looking for, no matter which one. And 20,000 ruined PCs happened. Now, of course, this is the raw data and complaint list without doing follow-up to double-check whether or not they were simply wrong about their assessment when they made the complaint or wrong about the tech shop that made the complaint for them. Yes, this euphemism is done to avoid YouTube doing a purge this month. Now, again, who started this website? Now, remember, the other one overtly says this was started. Well, if you have to look at the about page a lot, it was started by the antivirus installer companies, consumer advocates, tech support sites and shops. But this website, almost impersonating this website, takes the raw data and makes a claim there are 20,000 ruined PCs out of 2 million bad reviews, and it's a giant horrible mess, and don't buy Norton or McAfee or whatever they don't like. Or don't buy any viruses, because not only are they talking about antiviruses, they're anti-antivirus. They're pro-virus. That's not a bad assessment. And yes, if you're not aware of it, let's step out of character. In the 90s, there really were websites that did that and would then try to sell you a solution. You know, sort of like someone selling you snake oil that would normally be used on a horse. But no, this website is run by somebody who just hates antivirus programs. Now let's go to reality again. 55-year-old Oakland or Piedmont, California resident Lisbeth Pearl Wilner, or Liz Wilner, set up an overtly antivirus project and page on Facebook and also on a website, and linked them. And then in 2021, January 15th, decided to start a less overt version of it, trying to look fair and balanced by trying to look like an almost official version of this official site that did the clearinghouse for all the complaints, and would again boil it down to something a lot less than 2 million bad reviews, which is worthless. It does more subtle misinterpretation of the antivirus review data. It also links to the same Facebook page, removing any doubt that it's the same person. And this person's info was in the original website, which is now missing, and in the new website for a while. But both websites eventually switched over to hiding this trackable data, no transparency, and faking being official sounding, and making outlandish statements, and I'm going to state, got caught having a running counter of bad installs and dead PCs that would work even when the data source that it was claimed to be using wasn't available, because every once in a while the clearinghouse real website isn't available. The database isn't available. It can't be downloaded. It's broken for a few hours. But this lady's website never had a problem because she was running a utility to make the counter continually increment, whether there was data there or not, because it was good for search engine ranking. And if you're not aware of it, again, real world, stepping out of character, Lisbeth's website gets more views than the real website. And again, the real website says out of 20,000 ruined PC claim and 2 million bad reviews, it's 1,549 actual real claims that turned out to be of any merit, and 9 occurrences that were very, very bad outcomes in the real world. And again, just like the 1990s, this does very much mirror exactly the crap that happened with antivirus software. Yes, if you install Norton and McAfee at the same time, they do tend to break each other's code and step on each other and break your machine. Don't do that. You run one, then the other. And that would the other thing, if you're not aware of it, you'd install a temporary version of an antivirus routine, and then you'd install the full version of the other one, forgetting you had this one on here, and they would conflict. Because virus scanners sometimes are really viruses impersonating them, because that's one of the way viruses get on your computer. Hello, waptek from Adelaide, South Australia. Totally not an NServe. Now, of course, I've retyped all of this. It's going to sound stupid, but please sit there and just, again, we're in purge mode. Where I live today, we had 120 installs that were bad, the installs and that went bad, and 70% had 2 antiviruses installed. But would they have been better off if they hadn't installed an antivirus? Okay, let's continue. The government first said, get the antivirus, stop the spread, protect your peripherals. You're going to have to figure out what that word means. I'm using words that will make it impossible for me to get flagged. Please just bear with me. Well, that goes out the window as antivirus PCs are spreading it everywhere. But what about what about computers that don't have an antivirus or a firewall? Firewall mask. Do they spread it more or less? The answer is they spread it more or not. That's not actually for debate now. We now know because, again, our review website, it does spread less if you install your antivirus. It spreads even less than that if you also install your firewall. But doing one or the other will help. Doing neither is very bad, and it still spreads more. So actually, yeah, we have found that it helps. But are you allowing yourself to mention that to yourself? I'm not trying to be a jerk, but please don't fall into this pit. I am singled out and labeled because I chose to be cautious and sit back and watch the world experiment everywhere before I think about installing this. I don't argue with you. Either in the computer sense or in the thing we're trying not to talk about, I agree with you. No problem. But while that's happening, you have to firewall up. And let's go on. To me, it means I get to keep going to work. Just like at a job site at a bank, you have to have an antivirus. But I can still catch it, yes. But again, you're going to have 1/20th of the likelihood of dying, 1/20th of the likelihood of getting sick, and 1/20th the likelihood of spreading it. Or having a hard drive crash. Excuse me, I got confused about what we're supposed to be talking about. But yeah, you do have less likelihood of being horribly injured. And we have to keep that in mind. I know it's inconvenient, and no one wants to hit the, okay, I approve of the install of this software that isn't a virus, and go through all the hoops. Are you sure you wanted to go to that website that's porn? Yes, I did. Let me look at the boobies. We all remember what that's like. Some of you might remember what that was actually like. But we were better off. And now we're in the day where we don't even have to click yes or no things. It just cleans it up and we can look at all the boobies we want to. We're talking about the bird called the boobies, right? So anyway, let's move on. Imagine for a second that you're at the computer shop. Yes, this is me doing euphemisms. And there's a PC that has an antivirus and one that doesn't have an antivirus. Both of them got infected just as bad by the same virus. Yes, because viruses adapt to antiviruses in real world and in computers. The analogy for computers and computer viruses versus biological ones is not really bad here. It really is the same thing. The latest virus will get past the vaccine. The latest antivirus may stop the latest computer virus, but maybe not. And yeah, you asked for antivirus side effects evidence and evidence of complete failures resulting in the machine being parted out. That's the euphemism I'm using. I tried to leave a comment and a link to your video page, but it kept getting deleted. I can't mention crashed PCs or the name of the page or a link to it. I thought it must be okay as it's been going since 1990, except that the page is essentially impersonating the real page. And here's the problem. This impersonator page, blowing numbers out of proportion and outright faking them. Someone found out that it was becoming popular because the person writing the page did a really good job promoting it and made not one or two copies of this page to install literally computer viruses, but 5. And guess what? On Google, Bing, and every other search engine, and on most web browsers, if you start typing the name of it, instead of it bringing up the correct, like .com or .net, it gives you one of the virused ones. So what YouTube and Google and every search engine have done is they banned the word itself. Not only that, but also banned it because it was spreading misinformation about Norton antivirus. This is so stupid. Why do I have to fucking do this shit? So anyway, thank you for trying to give me the information, and I'm afraid that I almost killed my computer looking this up. Thanks. Next. But yeah, the one going from the 1990s, which was the consortium of antivirus installers for you biocomputers, yeah, they've been around a long time, and they used to have a fact that said this has been set up to not judge whether or not somebody has a valid complaint, but just help them, because that's what everybody wanted, was help. The people who wanted money and were exploiting it, they don't get payouts, because that was actually happening. This turned into a big mess, and in real world, that's important. For computer virus antivirus routines and for biological antivirus routines, the earliest versions did have negative consequences more often. But again, out of half a billion installs here, we have 9 occurrences that would be extremely detrimental in the real world, the thing we're not talking about. Those are very good odds. I roll this, much more. They really got control on the media bound pat. Yeah, okay. Now there's but again, it was mostly linking to viruses. Anyway, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and the antivirus pages and the fake ones are listed below as archives only so I don't get flagged. And again, just typing the name of it will get you flagged, so don't do it. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that.